What comes to mind when you hear the words fighting games? You probably picture two characters squaring off on a screen, engaging in intense battles. But expansive and immersive story mode? That's likely not the first thing you think of. While fighting games can certainly be immersive, they aren't typically known for their deep narrative-driven experiences. Most fighting games have some form of story, usually conveyed through brief clips at the beginning and end of the arcade modes, providing context for why the characters are fighting. While these games are celebrated for their creative characters and vibrant settings, you wouldn't typically expect to explore a richly detailed world full of people and places. However, in 2023, one of the greatest pieces of fighting game content came out, World Tour.
When you go looking for strength, it's not like a game. This journey doesn't have a real ending. For you, for me, for everyone.
You and I, both, still have a long way to go.
Yeah, hey there, I do this, never fear losing. And when I get up in the game, y'all be improving. A real problem, but I solve them all facts proven. And if you think I'm gon' fall,
just like him,
yeah, y'all
that
wanna
same
win in
look
this big
never
boy.
cease of the
I'm super fly
superpower,
like I'm
for
hanging
it
off the
too
rim, boy.
shall
I've
one
been
day
waiting
be
for my
mine.
info. And I put on
Continue
for
to
myself
grow.
from the intro.
That is up to you.
My pride is out there.
Aren't you babbling on about finding
So I'ma tell the
strength?
truth, I get my grind
Maybe
on.
you found
You know the
enough
pressure
to
make
earn
all
a
of these
kick or
diamonds.
two
I tell
from
them
me.
get back, step back, fast track, big lap, big facts. I'm past that.
Just press on.
I'm trying to get ahead.
Leading the way
Now move forward, stand
is
back.
strength
Now break
all of
away,
its
I'm
own.
about to bring it. I ain't never backing down. Took a step up to the plate. For my city, for my town. I do whatever it takes. I'ma go and get this crown. I'ma go all of the round. I ain't never backing down. Took a step up to the plate. For my city, for my town. I do whatever it takes. I'ma go and get this crown. See the time, see the sights, see the sights, see the sights, yeah.
If you're part of Street Fighter's targeted audience, you're probably not buying the game solely for the single-player story. In fact, you might have owned Street Fighter 6 since day one and never once touched World Tour. And that's understandable. I didn't buy the game for World Tour either. It's just a bonus piece of content, and a fantastic one at that. If you haven't played World Tour, or even considered buying Street Fighter 6 because you think fighting games aren't for you, I'm here to explain why you might want to give it a try. As a side note, this will be a mostly spoiler-free review, save for speaking about a few small story details and locations you will explore. World Tour begins by offering you one of the most in-depth character creators I've ever seen. You can be as creative as you want, whether you want to recreate characters from your favorite games and anime, or just make a freak of nature. The choice is yours. You'll be introduced to one of the new faces of the franchise and guided through basic controls. Street Fighter 6 offers two control schemes, a classic and modern mode. If you're familiar with previous Street Fighter games, classic controls will feel just right, with the traditional button layout you're used to. For newcomers or those not comfortable with fighting games yet, the new modern mode is a great option. It features simplified special move inputs, auto combos, and straightforward button mapping system, making it easy for anyone to jump in and enjoy the game. World Tour is a love letter to Street Fighter and Capcom's classic arcade days. The mode spans two major areas and several smaller hubs, with the standout location being Metro City. If you've ever played the arcade classic Final Fight, the name will ring a bell. The events of Final Fight and the original Street Fighters are referenced throughout Metro City. For instance, you'll end up fighting people from the Mad Gear gang. They make frequent appearances throughout the story mode and throughout the city. You'll also interact with familiar characters from the original games if you've ever played them. Metro City is rich with content secrets. I'm still discovering new things even a year later. In some ways it reminds me of Mortal Kombat Deception's single player mode. As you explore the game, you can initiate street fights with random NPCs you encounter. These battles allow you to level up your character, adding a touch of RPG elements to the experience. You can also train your iconic characters from the Street Fighter franchise, learning their techniques and moves as you fight. You gain experience with your masters, unlocking more interactions and access to their powerful skills. You can even mix it up and use moves from various masters at once, allowing you to create your own unique movesets and combos. A lot of times to even meet these characters, you have to do certain missions to learn about them and track them down. Some of these are even optional, so you can easily miss them if you do not explore and find them throughout the story mode. Building relationships with your masters adds depth and personality to the characters that may have seemed simple or one-dimensional in past games. One of my favorite things is learning from some of the villains on the roster and having the other mentors react to it. Especially considering the game's latest addition being Bison, who has pretty much wronged most of the game's cast. Seeing them get pretty triggered by my character's ability to use his fighting style and psycho power is pretty fun. The world feels very lived in. Metro City seems to be based on New York, but it definitely has a unique feel to it. The NPCs in the world feel very alive, and the fact that you can interact with even the most random ones for a quick bout in the streets is really fun. I like the idea that there is a city out there where people will throw hands on their lunch break, go back to work as if it's just another normal day in the office. Like even grandma over here will throw down with you, as if beating on old ladies in the street is normal. I love that the people in the game will just gather around and watch you throw fireballs at some poor smuck who is just trying to get his grocery store shopping done. It reminds me of Pokemon, where if you get seen, you get challenged and you cannot refuse. The world would lead you to believe that if you are not willing to throw hands on a request, it is some sort of taboo in society and you'll probably get exiled. Anyway, the game features lots of different quests and new characters to interact with. There is a variety of mini games you can do, like make pizzas or everyone's favorite trash cars for money. You can use your money to buy things like new clothes, upgrade items for better stats, or buy consumables. You can also visit restaurants around the world and eat different foods. They provide healing as well as different benefits and buffs for your character. You'll also pick up moves from your masters to use in the world. These moves will allow you to get access to secret areas or initiate fights in different ways. It's always fun to walk up to someone and just pile drive them. There is also a tournament mode you can unlock later that allows you to put your skills to the test. You will also encounter familiar NPCs you've met before, as well as big names when you're doing the tournaments, like Ryu will show up randomly at times and just beat the ever-living shit out of everyone. The game also allows you to explore at night as well, and the entire vibe and ambiance changes completely. You'll find characters in areas that weren't there before. You'll also encounter stronger and more frequent enemies. You can also ride the subway train for another minigame, where you have a set time limit to beat up a bunch of thugs attacking you on a train. One of my favorite aspects of how the world is portrayed in the game is that the environment itself feels like a character. As you explore, you get to know the place and its people, but you're not the center of attention. Your story is more personal, searching for a friend and rival while striving to find your own strength. The world continues to turn around you, and you're just kind of along for the ride. I actually really prefer this approach. Not many games really take that approach anymore when it comes to telling stories. I also want to touch on the sound and graphic design. Every punch and kick, even if it's just a basic jab, feels like it has weight to it. The moment-to-moment fighting sounds and looks great, and the world has a very colorful and stylized art style. It reminds me more of Street Fighter 3 than anything else from the franchise, but I do find like the style is very unique to itself. The game has an amazing soundtrack that sounds like a mix of hip-hop beats and synthwave if I were to describe it. Though I'm not really a music expert, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. When it comes to me, if I like it, I like it. World Tour offers plenty to do for both veteran and new players. Even if you've never played a fighting game, I highly recommend giving it a shot. Even if it's just for World Tour, Street Fighter 6 has become more affordable as it's been out for over a year already, and you only need the base game to experience this mode. It elevates fighting game single player content to a new level, and I hope to see similar features from other franchises in the future when it comes to fighting games. Capcom has done a great job of keeping the content fresh with updates and new character stories and missions. My main critique is the lack of New Game Plus option. I love to replay the game without losing my progress from the first playthrough, with an increased difficulty as well to keep things challenging. After a while, the regular enemies become too easy. I've already spent around 50 hours in World Tour mode, and I'm sure I'll continue adding to that as I enjoy exploring different locations and participating in tournaments. As long as Capcom keeps updating the game with each piece of DLC, I'll keep coming back. I hope you found something interesting or inspiring in this video enough to make you want to try out World Tour mode. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, and let me know if you'd like more content like this.